everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is Ramya. I'm a product analyst at Vembu Technologies. Today, I will be the organizer for this webinar, and I see attendees are joining in. Before getting started, I would like to inform you regarding the ground rules of the session. All the attendees will be the listen-only mode. However, you have a question box. If you have any queries in between, you can post your questions, which our team will answer. If time permits, we shall also have a Q&A session at the end. The webinar, we will be going through a 30 or 35 minutes walkthrough with a small presentation and a quick live demonstration. So let's begin. Our topic for the day is why backing up your Microsoft 365 data is critical. And the agenda goes like, so we'll be covering why it is critical to have a backup strategy for Microsoft Office 365 as it is in on-site data. And what's new in Microsoft 365 for Microsoft, we're going to see we are launching a new update, version 5.1. So we're going to see what's new in it. And followed by, I'm going to do a live demonstration and also a Q&A session at the end. So benefits of Microsoft 365. The COVID-19 pandemic has caused millions of people to start working from home for the first time. Office 365 is ideal for this use case. It was built with remote and mobile workers in mind. So Microsoft 365 for Business is much more than just an Office 365 in the cloud. So it offers many benefits for business like growth, saving money, and much more. So let's have a look at some benefits of Microsoft 365 here. Work anywhere. As long as you have a working internet connection, you and your workforce will have the ability to work from anywhere. As it's entirely cloud-based, you can access emails, files, and Office programs from any location. This can help your business as it can drastically increase productivity. Easy collaboration. In most organizations, working in team is the way the business operates. Do you have teams that work together on task, document, or presentation in your organization as well? Then you will find the collaboration feature of Microsoft 365 super beneficial. So everyone who needs to contribute or to edit a document can work on same version rather than having multiple copies. So versioning is also included in case you need to go back to an older version. Furthermore, with multi-party HD video, shared calendars, and team chats, team members will always be in sync. Next is the reduced capital spending. Office 365 is a subscription-based service. This means your organization will be paying a low monthly fee for every user. So as suppose for taking a huge chunk out of your budget and paying a large lump sum upfront, as is the case with the regular Microsoft Office packages. This is a huge benefit as it can be helpful from the cash flow perspective as a plan are typically paid month to month, and it allows the finance team to plan a budget much easier. Eliminates hardware. Because Office is run in the cloud, you don't need servers for your websites, emails, or document storage. The cost savings are substantial. Removing on-site servers will reduce both energy cost and the need of office space to store server hardware. Finally, you can stay up to date. Remember those days when Microsoft released new versions of Office and you had to pay to the upgrade to the latest version? Those days are in the past. With Microsoft 365, organization can benefit from always having a latest version of Office at no additional cost. The latest version are always available as part of the Microsoft 365 subscriptions. This means no going around to each computer, uninstalling older versions, and replacing them with the new. With Microsoft constantly making upgrades across various programs, you will have access to all of them. This depends on the plan that's been chosen, and you will always have a full access to your desktop version for offline usage. Okay, who's responsible for your Microsoft 365 data? Do you think Microsoft takes care of everything? We all know that Microsoft Office 365 help companies with advanced productivity tools, including Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive for Business, and much more. But what about data protection for Microsoft 365? Did you know that keeping Office 365 data safe and compliant is your responsibility? If not, we will check out the next slides for more details. Shared responsibility model. So when you purchase a license for Microsoft 365, The last thing on your mind is data backup and disaster recovery, isn't it? This is because most people assume that Microsoft is responsible for backing up everything from your calendars to your emails to your files in the SharePoint and OneDrive. This could stem up the belief that everything in the cloud is backed up. To those users who think that Microsoft is fully responsible for taking care of a cloud data, here comes the concept of Microsoft 365 shared responsibility model. Microsoft operates on a shared responsibility model. With this, Microsoft is only responsible for the Office 365 infrastructure and the uptime of the cloud and apps within the Microsoft 365. Which means, if you are currently relying on Microsoft to protect your organization from data loss, your data and your business are at risk. So who's responsible for what? Understanding the importance of data security and availability, both Microsoft and the company officials are held accountable for the same. So while Microsoft has industry-leading security measures in place, they only protect you from natural disasters, power outages, and hardware failures that affect their own data centers. Additionally, the Office 365 user interface provides identification and authentication in their online service along with supervision over user control and admin. So when a user accidentally deletes a critical file, many administrators are forced to face the harsh reality that Microsoft can't guarantee a complete and speedy restore of that file. So IT admin duty begins at the data level. Various cloud computing security risks need to be taken care of. These risks pertain to accidental deletion, ransomware attacks, unauthorized sharing of data, and many more which we'll be seeing in our next slides. So the bottom line when it comes to Microsoft 365 is that it's your data, you own it, you control it, and you are responsible for managing all the data and archives within the Exchange Online, SharePoint Online, OneDrive, and etc. So even if the data is retrievable from Microsoft, the process is really going to be long. Source of data loss. Protecting data in Microsoft 365 is no less important than backing up your on-premise data. It is valuable for business data and deserves to be protected. Many of the same threats to the data in customer-owned data center apply to the data in the cloud. So now we have that the data is your responsibility. Let's see few sources of data loss. Accidental deletion. Did you know that the number one cause of data loss in the cloud and SaaS solution like Office 365 is accidental data deletion? About 70% of all lost data is due to accidental or malicious deletion by end users, system failures, viruses, or fire. If you delete a user, whether or not you plan to, the deletion will be across the network. Along with the deletion, their OneDrive data, mailbox, etc. So native recycling bins and version histories used in Office 365 will only protect you from the data loss in a restricted way. Retention policy gaps. Microsoft Office 365 has minimal retention policy with recycle bin architecture to maintain data loss by unintentional or purposeful deletion. So although Microsoft allows the limited flexibility of business administrators to extend their recycle bin retention time, this feature takes up lots of disk space at considerable extra cost. But access to such data is not made available to administrators or end users and is not intended to help with a quick and simple point-in-time recovery of missing data. So businesses wishing to make restoration from any point in time need a third-party Microsoft 365 backup. Internal threats. Businesses face risk from the inside and they happen more often than you think. Organizations fall victim of threats by their very own employee deliberately. So access to files can be modified so easily, which cannot be monitored every time by the organizations. Microsoft has no way of knowing if the deletion of data was done accidentally, maliciously, or intentionally. External threats. So malwares and viruses such as ransomware have seriously affected companies across the globe. The company reputation is not only at risk, but also the privacy and security of the internal employee and the customer data. So external threats can creep in via emails and attachments. So informing users on what to look for isn't always enough. So though Microsoft has high security measures, it only has limited protection against malware attacks, This means that Microsoft Office 365 data is vulnerable to destructions or modification to a variety of malwares. So, consequences of data loss. So, we know that the data is vulnerable. Let's see the consequence of data loss. What would happen in a scenario where the business has lost all its data due to malware or virus attack, server crash, and etc.? One thing for sure, the business will regret not having done enough for its data security. Apart from the obvious regret, the following are some of the grave consequences that lie ahead of the business that has just lost its valuable data. So your business and employee productivity could get seriously affected. Data loss could impair the productivity aspect of your business. Since we know how critical data is in driving the daily activities of a business, not having access to this data would make it impossible for the employees to work seamlessly. This could continue to be the case until the data has been recovered entirely. In the absence of the data, you may even find it difficult to make important business decisions, since most business today leverage data-driven decision-making. So in this way, data loss put the present as well as the future of your business at high risk. Your customers may lose faith in you. As you know, it takes years to earn the trust of the customer, but only one unpleasant event to lose all that hard-earned trust. A business that has been a victim of data loss may struggle to retain and trust the loyalty of its customer, because such an event is often perceived by customer as negligence on the part of the business. So if the data that has been lost is that of customers, then their discontentment would only be magnified. Therefore, losing your data could also mean losing your customers. Additionally, a data loss event doesn't stop haunting your business anytime soon. So, you not only stand to lose your existing customer, but you also run the risk of turning away a new and potential customers too. Legal ramification. So, data loss exposes a business to all sorts of legal actions, say fines and lawsuits, etc. So, if the data loss includes customer data, then you may have to face fines of being unable to adhere to the data protection related laws and regulations. Shareholder lawsuits are also at risk. Because your business operates are affected in the event of data loss, you could also be sued for being unable to perform the duties that you are accountable for the business. Moreover, you may be sued by the customer who have been directly affected by the data loss. Getting caught up in these legal battles can worsen your already weakened business conditions. Finally, you would evenly go out of the business too. Let's hope that it doesn't come to this, but you can't ignore the possibility of going out of the business because of data loss. We just looked at the various ways of your business might face the heat on losing your data. There are plausible issues on every front: finance, productivity, customer trust, and legals. If the data loss was only temporary, then there is still a chance for you to get it back in the saddle eventually once the data has been recovered. But if the data loss was permanent, then getting back on your feet could not so easy. So what you can avoid? What you can do to avoid the data loss? Yes, so we have industry best practices which can avoid data losses. The first, 3-to-1 backup rule. Even people often tend think in terms of probability. They are big natural disaster for their location. Of course, tornadoes, earthquakes, and floods could be the most unlikely of events on your city. You may also not believe in the probability of terrorist attack, but most of the common hazards that can lead to data loss or corruption are always present. Even if your facility is well protected against theft, voltages, surges, and water or fire damage, there are still many other threats which are largely outside of your control, such as device failures, viruses, malicious attacks, volume or directory glitches, and transfer corruptions, and even human errors. The 3-to-1 backup rule is a good recommended start in building any data protection, a way to protect your data from loss, corruption, and the control risk. So being well prepared in advance is the best data protection policy. The 3-to-1 backup rule is easy to remember at random for the common approach to keep your data safe in almost any failure scenario. The rule is keep at least 3 copies of your data and store 2 backup copies on different storage media with one of them located offsite. This is the easy to remember acronym for 3-to-1 backup strategy. The next is ensure accessibility to BDRSuite. BDRSuites ensure that operations can continue regardless of any mischiefs or disaster. They can also function as a means of replicating data from the main site to ensure minimal data loss. A BDRSuite greatly reduces risk for the organization and eliminates the possibility of devastating data loss incident in a period of downtime that could cripple the organization. So in the current disaster recovery scenario, cyber attacks and ransomware have been realistic new threat resulting in significant outages. The modern BDRSuite therefore must cater to the possibility and ensure the logic separation of the production and recovery from the network access. Scalable solutions. So data infrastructure today would be unrecognized 20 years ago, and the biggest difference is the volume of data. There are more data sources, more metadata, and more location for data. Even as the infrastructure, it protects, evolves, most backup solutions still reflect the architect of the past. Therefore, while organizations automate every other part of their data infrastructure, backup requires even more manual efforts to fill the architectural gaps. So fortunately, you can leapfrog into a future with SaaS data protection. With a backup architecture designed to the cloud, separating data and metadata, securing the infrastructure and the data and scaling up and down on demand, the data backup can become the most scalable part of your environment. So by adopting a proven SaaS solution, you can shift from being backed up to your most human-intensive operation to the least. And keep your plan updated. No one wants to lose hard work, time, or orders because of a technical problem with their server or computers, an accident deletion, or because of malware, defacing, or hacking. One of the best ways to avoid data loss is to have a good backup system in place. But what goes into developing and implementing a good backup plan? What should you backup? How often should you take backups? Where should you keep your backups? How can you make sure your data and data valuable investment is protected? So keep these questions in your mind when you prepare your backup plan for your environment. So each backup plan will be it's based on your own environment, and you have to plan according to these questions. Finally, proper training for DR persons. So just like many office practice fire drills to protect employees, having a well-prepared infrastructure also requires an occasional drill to ensure critical data remains protected. Unfortunately, many organizations don't take the time to plan training or drills, believing it's unproductive or unnecessary. Studies show that 75% of small businesses have the "it will never happen to us" mindset and forgo a legitimate plan of action. But according to the survey, the reality is that half of the small business will never reopen following a disaster. That means if there is no plan in place, it's time to create one. And if the plan is in place, it's time to make sure your employees fully understand it. So how does Vembu helps here? To begin with, let's start with a little bit of Vembu technologies. So we are a fast-growing backup software. We have more than a decade and a half years of experience in data protection market. Our customer base is spread across 100+ countries. So Vembu created strong partnership with industry-leading technology vendors to provide high availability to the data centers with diverse requirements. So our technology partners include data center players like VMware, NetApp, HP, Red Hat, and public cloud providers like Amazon and Microsoft. So our customers, Vembu is honored to serve some of the finest companies in the world, and our customer base, you will find that recognizable worldwide firms as well as reputable local companies too. And so far we have reached 60,000+ businesses across the globe. Vembu is a leading player in the backup and disaster recovery market for small and medium businesses. Our flagship product, BDRSuite, is a comprehensive backup and disaster recovery solution designed to protect the data across IT environments that include virtual machines like VMware Hyper-V, physical workloads like Windows, Linux, Mac, cloud workloads from AWS and Azure, and SaaS applications like Microsoft 365, Google Workspace. Our solutions are extremely affordable and are ideal for your business of any size with a tight budget. So we also offer offsite DR and cloud DR to replicate your secondary copy of your data to offsite location for disaster recovery purpose. So in case of primary site failure, you can restore the data from your offsite storage with minimal downtime. So as like BDRSuite, we also have a cloud BDRSuite, which is a simple and cost-effective backup solution for small and mid-sized businesses. So you can protect your cloud backups for file servers, endpoints, applications, Microsoft 365, and Google Workspace, and stored in Vembu Cloud. Our Vembu Cloud residing in Amazon Web Services, and we have 4 data centers around the world, 2 in North America, 1 in Ireland, and 1 in Sydney. So we are also planning to launch the cloud backup solutions for VMware, Hyper-V, Microsoft Windows, and AWS soon, and it's in our roadmap, and we are working on it. So now let's see in detail about BDRSuite Backup for Microsoft 365. So backup Microsoft like 365, we offer like mails, contacts, calendars, OneDrive backup, SharePoint, online teams, and even group backups. So we back up the entire domain and the selected domains of a user as well. So restore domain for we'll be storing your data either in on-premise or you can store it in a Vembu cloud. So export into like multiple formats like .pst, .eml, .vscf, and .icf. And you can even replicate your business critical data to any cloud object storage like S3 and S3 compatible clouds like Vembu and Wasabi. So retain your data for any number of days with flexible retentions. Retrieve your data with inbuilt searches. Secure your data both in flight and storage with AES 256-bit algorithm. Monitor your backup process to reliable reports. Preview and restore their mails and mail attachments. Comply with legal requirements, policies, and regulations. So all in one with Vembu, you can reduce unnecessary cost and keep your business running all time. So these are the supported platforms. So we support like Outlook backup, calendar backup, contact backup, OneDrive backup, Exchange online backup, SharePoint online backup, Teams backup, and Microsoft Windows backup. So it's on-premise. So you can store your data either on your local data center or in your hyperscale public clouds like S3 or S3 compatible clouds like Vembu and Wasabi. So you will have a complete control of your Office 365 data. And as you store your data on-premise, Vembu helps in meeting your local and legal compliance like GDPR, HIPAA, FIPS 142, and etc. So now we are going to have a live demonstration followed by a Q&A session. So first of all, you can look onto the website. It's www.vembu.com. So once you see the website, you can see a download tab. Clicking on a download tab will direct you to a download page where you can find the Windows-based installer and the Linux-based installer. So these are the system requirements for the operating system to install the servers in the Windows as well as Linux. So once you install, you'll be getting 30 days free trial to evaluate the product. And during evaluation, if you have any queries, you can contact the Vembu support team anytime. So we also have a Vembu sales team in case if you needed any pricing or other stuffs. So once you install the product, you can access the product by IP address of the machine followed by 6060 port number to open a web-based console. So you'll be seeing a login screen like this. The default username and password is admin. You can customize this while installing the product. Once you're logged in, this is how the dashboard looks like. So you'll be able to back up your virtual machine running on VMware, Hyper-V, physical Windows machine, AWS EC2 instances, Microsoft 365, and Google Workspace data directly from the server. To back up your file servers, endpoints, and application, you need a client which is need to be installed in each and every machine that needs a backup. So though you need a client for backup configuration, you will be able to manage those backup jobs from the server itself. This is how the server console looks like. Now directly we'll move on to the Microsoft 365 data here. The first thing we'll be doing is to configure the repository. So click on backup server here. So we support two different types of storages. One is a block storage. With the help of block storage, you'll be able to store your backup data in NAS, SAN, local drives, or hard drives. Or else you can also choose the object storage. With the object storage feature, you'll be able to store your data directly into the S3 or S3 compatible clouds like Vimeo or Wasabi. Next, you can use the management option to create like users for your console, and you can switch between the editions during the trial. So during the trial 30 days, we offer all the 2 editions. You can switch between the edition and check with the product. And you can see the licensing details here. And in settings, you can configure the SMTP settings for email notifications, and even web proxy is available for internet, and the time zone you can set at which time zone the backups need to run. So once the backup server configurations have been done, then you have to move on to data source and click on Add Microsoft 365 Organization. This will take to a page and you can see a button with Add Microsoft 365 Organization written. Just click on it. And you have to give your organization a nickname, the tenant ID provided by Microsoft Azure to you while you configure like of Microsoft 365 data. And you need to generate application ID and application password. This application ID and password is very much important to, and you will be getting this when you register your Vembu software in the Azure ID. So this step is important that we will give necessary permissions to Vembu to access your Microsoft 365 account to back up the data. The steps to generate the application ID and the application password is there here, and you can just follow it. So we have like manual steps or even PowerShell script commands, which can be easy for you to generate the application ID and password. So once it's generated, please fill all this required details and click on Save button. Your account will be stored here. So here the organization details have been stored. There is no restriction in adding any number of account details. You can add any number of account details and you can configure any number of backup jobs for the same. So once the account details have been added, then you have to go to backup, click on Configure Backup and choose Microsoft 365. So just give backup a name and choose either you want to store it in the block storage or object storage, and give a repository name in case you want to choose multiple repository. You can choose which repository you want to store your data and then click on Next. So here, if you have adding multiple organization, you will be having a drop-down list to choose which organization you need to back up from. Since I have only one organization here, it is showing me the same. And for selecting the objects, you have two different options. One is you can back up the entire organization, or you can choose the selected objects. So if you choose the entire organization, the complete users mailbox, like user in your organization, their mailbox, group mailbox, SharePoint associated with your organization and Teams, everything will be backed up completely. Or else you can choose the backup selected objects. To just back up only the user mailbox, you can choose this option. Or else if you want only the SharePoint site, you can choose the same. So if you want all, you can choose all the checkboxes and then click on Next. The next, you will see your domains being listed. Your domain under your organization will be listed here. So you can choose from which domain you want to. So I'm choosing both the domains and clicking on Apply. And next, you have to select the user. The first configuration is about user mailbox. So you have to choose a user you wish to have the backups on. So we have 3 different options. So select all user option will let all the user in the organization to have a backup. Their mails, OneDrive, calendars, contacts, etc. Or else, if you choose select specific users, so that the number of users in your organization will be listed and you can select the critical users. Okay, and you can even customize the selections. For example, you want only mails for these 3 users, you can do it. You can customize this. As if you want the OneDrive and mails, is it also possible? Or if you want all the 4 items like mails, OneDrive, calendar, contacts, you will be able to do it. So the next option is selecting user by groups. So if you have created groups in your Microsoft 365, and those groups will be listed here, and you can see like the list of users associated with the groups. You can even customize this and select the critical groups and list the users here. And from here, you can also select which user you need to. And their mails or OneDrive calendar or contacts, you can customize your selections. The next is a group mailbox. So here you have to choose the domain from which the group mailbox option need to be selected. And then we have two different types for the selection of the groups. One is all the groups or specific groups. If you choose all groups, so all the groups associated with your domain will be backed up completely, or you can use the specific groups option to back up the critical groups alone. So as of now, we are supporting only group OneDrive. So support for a group conversation and group calendar is in our roadmap, and our team is working on it. So you can select the critical groups and click on next. The next is a SharePoint. So all the SharePoint site associated with your organization will be listed here. You can choose all, or you can customize your selection and choose only the critical SharePoints you need to. And finally, same for the teams as well. All the teams will be listed. You can customize. So as I said before, you can also create multiple backup jobs. You can come within this backup job, you can select only critical ones. You can come back and go for other job and select other teams and SharePoints and users as well in the other backup job too. And you can manage all the backup jobs separately. So once done with all your selections for user mailbox, group mailbox, SharePoint sites and teams, next will be move on to the scheduling. So how frequently you need to run a backup. So our RPO and RTO is 1 hour. So we'll be able to trigger a backup every 1 hour. And we also have options like daily. So scheduling a backup in a daily in a selective time, or weekly in a selective day and a selective time. I would like to inform you the first initial backup will be the full backup, followed by incremental. So we'll be tracking the changes, and only the changes will be backed up as incremental. So we also have advanced scheduling option, like how many times the backup in case of failure, the system has to retry the attempts, and the wait time for the retry. Everything you can customize. Next is the compression. So by default, compression encryption is enabled in our mission. So if you want to disable the compression, you'll be able to do it, though you're not able to work on the encryption, because encryption is by default enabled, and we are using AES 256-bit algorithm for encryption the files. Later, retention. So for retention, by default, all your backup data will be retained. But if you want to retain the data only for the particular amount of time, then you can choose the retention option. So we have both time-based and the version-based retentions here. You can customize all your selections. You can hold up to 10 years of data. This retention policy. So you can customize separately for your mails, SharePoint sites, groups, teams, etc. So once your selection is done, finally click on you can review all your selections you have made. You can see what are the domains you selected, what are the users you have been selected, the group mailbox, SharePoints, everything, and then click on save, so that your backup job will be listed in the list of backup jobs here. So this is the list of backup job page. From here, you'll be able to run or suspend the backup, and even edit the backup. So you can view the selections here. The reports can be viewed from here too. And in case if you want to delete the backup, you can choose the delete options too. So once the configuration is done, next we move on to the recovery. For recovering the files, click on the recovery tab here, and you will see a restore button in front of the backup job. So click on restore. So you have granular restore option. So you can restore the user mailbox category, the group mailbox category, SharePoint sites and teams, everything separately. Let's see the user mailbox first. Select the user mailbox option and click on start restore configuration. Choose the domain. And then you can choose the timestamp from which you have to restore the files. And you can choose the mailbox. In this backup job, I have configured only one user mailbox. So I'm choosing that. So in case if I'm using multiple users, then all those users mailbox will be listed here. And you can see that you have these many options to restore the user mailbox. The first is the restore mailbox. So this option will restore the complete user mailbox with their mails, OneDrives, calendars, and contacts. So all the items will be restored completely. Else, if you want to restore only the mails, then you can go to restore mails option. And here you can see all the folders in your mail options available here. So if you want to have a folder level backup, you can choose multiple folders here directly. Or else, if you want to have a you want to recover a particular mail, then expand this, and you can see all the mails in your inbox or shared items or drafts, whatever it is. So you can take a complete inbox backup here as well, or you can choose the mails you wish to restore. Even you can view the mails here from the same UI, and even download the emails in a .aml format. So if you want to select multiple emails, please select the multiple emails and go for restore option. So we have 3 different types of restore option as well. So you can even download this as a PSD or restore it to the same user mailbox, or you can restore it to the different mailbox. So this use case is for customer like by accidentally deleted the mails and you want to restore the same to the same mailbox. And this use case, if the user left the organization and you want to recover their mails to some other user, then you can choose this option. And if you're choosing the different mailbox option, you have to choose the target. So from user A to user B, all the files will be recovered. Just give the restore description and click on review and restore. So review all your selection, and when you click on the restore, the restoration begins. Next option is to restore the group or shared mailbox. It's very similar to the user mailbox restoration. So you will be selecting the domain and you'll be selecting the timestamp from which you have to recover the files. You have to choose the mailbox. So this is the only one group mailbox I have in the job. And as I said, we'll be backing up only the group OneDrive. So you can see the drive files and the documents. So even if you want to download this document locally, you will be able to do it. Or else, you can select the documents and you can restore into the same group mailbox or restore into a different group mailbox, or you can even choose a custom location to restore your mailbox, group mailbox options. So once you choose, then you can review all your selections, and when you click on restore, the restoration begins. The next restore option is for SharePoint sites. Choose the SharePoint sites and choose the timestamp from where you have to restore the data. So here you have 3 different options. You can restore the complete site. So here in this option, I have restored backed up 2 sites here, or you can restore the library. So in case, let me see one by one. In case of restoring the site, first you have to choose from which site you have to recover the files from. Then the target, you have to choose the target. So either you can restore the site to the same original site, or you can restore it to the existing site. So in my organization, I have these many sites. So I can choose any one of the site here and restore it to the same, or I can even create a new site. So just give the name for the new site. A new site will be created and you can recover the sites to the new site here by giving the descriptions and the review selections. Else, if you don't want to restore the complete site, but restore only the library items for the site, you can choose the library restore and then choose the site from which you need to restore the library. And you can choose the library accordingly. And here also you have the same. So you can choose the target site. Either you want to restore the library to the same original site, or the library to the different site, or you can create a site, or you can also select the target library also. So to the same site and same library, or to the different site, or you can create a new library also for restoration. Similarly, for the folder and items, you are even more granular, and you can recover the files and items even from the library too. First, you have to choose the site, and then you have to choose the library, and then all the items inside the library will be listed. You can choose these many folders, and you can go with either original site, restore, or you can create a existing site. You can restore to the existing site, or you can create a new site and restore it. Similarly, for the library, you can use the original library, or you can choose the existing library, or you can create a new one. And the site recovery, yeah. So once you're done with selection, you can just review the selections and click on system. You can review a selection and click on restore to restore your site. The last is the theme restore. You have to choose the restore themes option, and you have to give the timestamp for your restore. And here also you have 3 different options. You can restore the complete theme. So here I have backed up only one theme. You can choose that and go either to the original theme, or you can choose from the existing themes. Else, you can go with the restore channels. You can choose the theme from which you have to restore the channel, and all the channel will be listed here. And you can choose any of the channel here and go for either to original theme, or you can also create the target channel also. You can choose the option like original channel, or you can select one, an available one. Finally, even the folder and final files from the channel will also be recovered granularly. You need to choose the themes, and you need to choose the live channel, and you can see this many files are there in the channel, and you can granularly choose whichever file you want to and restore it to the original theme or original channel or existing one or anything else. So once all done, once the selection is done, you can just review all your selection and click on restore to begin the restoration. So these are the restore option. And finally, we also have a report session. So we have a recent job level reports for Microsoft 365 and data recovery report for the same. So if you perform any recovery, reports for the same will also be generated. And we also have an email notification feature. So with this, both the success as well as the failure reports will be generated. And you can also add multiple email address for the same. For this, you have to configure the SMTP settings from the setting tab here. So I hope I gave the complete overview about the product. You can just test the product in your test environment and get back to us with your suggestions and feedbacks. So finally, we received more questions, and our team are answering few of them. So if your questions are not answered, please don't worry. We'll be replying post this webinar in the email to you. And thank you for joining us today. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.